Let's talk about how to identify the number of solutions in systems of equations. So the first way is by just solving. If we get one solution in the form of an ordered pair, so if we know both the value for x and y, we just have one solution. And here's 3 different examples. If we have no solutions, that means both sides of our equation are not going to be equal. So when you solve for the system, either using substitution or using elimination, you will not end up with an equal equation. If there is an infinite number of solutions, then both sides of the equation will be equal. That means no matter what your variable is, you will always have a balanced equation. The next way is to just look at the equations themselves. And if we want to compare our equations, we have to first convert into y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. We know if there is one solution if both of our equations have different slopes. So remember that your slope is m. And so here we have a slope of 2 and a slope of 3. They're different, so that means that they are going to cross at one point. In our second example, we have different slopes, so that means there's going to be one solution. Even though the y-intercepts are the same, that doesn't matter. They are both going to intersect at the y-intercept, but they're sloping at a different angle, which means that they will intersect in only one point. We can identify systems of equations with no solution if they have the same slope. If equations have the same slope, that means they are parallel and they will never ever cross. So in our first example, both of the equations have a slope of 5, and in our second example, both of the equations have a slope of 3. Now, in order for them to have no solution and be parallel, they must have the same slope, but they must also have different y-intercepts. So here we have 2 different y-intercepts, and here we have 2 different y-intercepts. And for infinite solutions, we have to have the same exact line, so the same slope and the same y-intercept. And that just means that your image of the graph is going to look like one line. They're just stacked right on top of each other. So it looks like one line, but there's really 2 there. And so if we look at a few graphs, this is an example of a graph with one solution. Our solution is where our 2 lines intersect. Here is an example of a graph with no solution. Notice that both lines are parallel, so they will never ever cross. And lastly, we have an example of a graph with infinite solutions. It looks like one line, but it's really just 2 lines in the same exact spot.